In this episode of OG 55, I am with the Italiano. We are talking all about the tropical Americas, deep dive into this new area coming to Disney's Animal Kingdom, the best park in Walt Disney World. Objectively, no, just kidding. Well, it's my favorite at least. But up next here on OG 55, the Italiano is in the house. So welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG 55. I'm joined by the Italiano as we break down the tropical Americas, a fantastic new area coming to Disney's Animal Kingdom. George, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, not too bad. Just another Sunday, or as well, it's not morning here now, but every time I say just another Sunday, it reminds me of one of the lyrics that goes to the opening song to South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
There we go.
When Stan goes, just another Sunday morning in my quiet mountain town.
Very good. Very well done.
Thank you.
Hey, it's not Monday because it could be another manic Monday. Do that too. Maybe tomorrow, you know?
You never know.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, Italiano, let's dive in. This is courtesy of wanderingindisney.com. D23 Expo, Tropical Americas details, including Indiana Jones and Encanto, revealed for Animal Kingdom. It says here, Animal Kingdom's future became clearer at the D23 Expo. Tropical Americas, the land replacing Dino Land and some backstage areas, was given opening date and a few, details. So they kind of break it down. Let's start with this. It says here, this space will be lush and sprawling, featuring a large fountain in the center where the villagers will like to gather and tell stories. Additionally, a woodcarver has created a giant working carousel featuring his favorite animals from Disney stories. It has a new take on a classic attraction that young families are going to love. So what do you think about this, George? Like, for me personally, like anything is really kind of a step up from Dino Land. I was not a fan of that. I know some fans really love that area. For me, it feels very early 2000s, very cheap Michael Eisner, that tail end of the Eisner era. It's that really cheap when he kind of didn't care anymore, or he had lost sight. I'm glad to see it go. This feels more in tune with what the rest of the park looks like. I'm all for it, but what say you, sir?
For me, I'm very excited about this change, just for the whole aesthetic of the land itself. I think it fits better in tune with the overall look to Animal Kingdom as a park. Dino Land was just it could have been great, but it was, I think, Disney's way of trying to understand how to present dinosaurs in the park, and I felt like it was a hit. I mean, it was a hit, in the very beginning, but became a miss when they added the Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama and the Primeval Whirl and the Triceratops spin. But when it started off in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Dinosaur, as a ride, all the effects kind of worked. I mean, it wasn't an Indiana Jones by all means, but it still had this kind of little bit of a thrill to it, so to speak. And then you had the boneyard, for like the fossil digging for the kids. It was nice. It was, but as time went on, the ride, I feel like, because I just recently went on the ride, and it's sad to say it's definitely on its last leg. I mean, the effects don't work as much as they used to. The audio animatronics are completely outdated, and I'm just glad that Disney is. I will say, I'm always one that I would rather them expand the park rather than replace. However, in this case, they needed to replace.
Yeah. No, they did. It says here, just like Harambe, the land feels lived in with a long, rich history. See, that's the thing. That's the thing that I was like kind of getting at too, where it's like Animal Kingdom, just the park in general, has that lived in, very kind of natural, realistic kind of kind of aesthetic, and then you turn the corner and there's like this very plasticky looking Dino Land. It just felt really out of place. This will bring this area into the park and make it feel like the rest of it. I think it's gonna be absolutely stunning. But it says here, in terms of attractions, it says here that we're gonna get a carousel. Let me see here. The new land will feature not one, but two signature attractions. It says here, a wood carver has created a giant working carousel featuring his favorite animals from Disney stories. It's a new take on a classic attraction that young families are going to love. So I think we saw one of the animals at the expo, and it looks like, it looks like hand carved and very nice. I mean, they don't look cheap at all. They look like solid wood. I don't know what materials they use, but it looks like solid wood and everything. It looks quality. But what do you think?
Yeah, it was Kevin from Up that was showcased at the expo. But yeah, it kind of gave like that kind of like natural, like hand carved, type of a base like that. It's created into a carousel. Now, I was a little bit worried about this because there were rumors circulating that the carousel was going to be themed around Coco, and I thought, Coco is such a beloved classic Pixar movie, and I would hate for them to kind of just utilize it just for a carousel.
Yes.
So I am so glad that they are doing a carousel. I believe in the location of where this is going to be. It's going to be around in the where the Triceratops spin area is, but I do like how they're incorporating many different animal characters who are animals from different Disney films, and then you can't go wrong with the carousel. And I think it'll bring kind of like a majestic elegance to this part of the land where it'll kind of offset the major e-tickets, which are Encanto and Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and this feels very much like DCA when they were kind of reimagining DCA back in like the early 2000s, where they were replacing a lot of the cheap carnival looking stuff and the very flat, just very ugly, to be honest with you, aesthetic, and replacing it with very rich, detailed things, like replacing the entrance with like Buena Vista Street and things like that. This reminds me of that, where they're replacing these very ugly carnival things and they're putting in its place like a beautiful carousel with these beautiful wood carved animals. And it's just, this is the glow up of the century, as the kids say, glow up. You know what I'm saying? It absolutely is. But that's not the only attraction we're getting. We're getting Indiana Jones. A new India experience is set to arrive in Disney's Animal Kingdom and will be different from the other Indiana Jones experiences around the world, which is awesome because at Indiana Jones, you should have multiple experiences, multiple adventures. That makes a whole lot of sense. In this new venture, the man with the hat has recently discovered a perfectly preserved Mayan temple, and that can only mean one thing. It's time to explore it. He's heard rumors about a mythical creature deep within the temple, and he's got to see it for himself, so he brings us along for the adventure. But will there be snakes? Why does it have to be snakes, George? Why? No, but yeah, this is kind of the perfect Animal Kingdom kind of ride in all honesty, because Animal Kingdom is not just about animals. It's also about cultures. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we're taking the Mayan culture, and that whole thing, and we're also gonna have the mystical creature, which will kind of play into the animal element of it. I know technically it's not a real animal, but okay, Beastly Kingdom, that was going to be dragons and such, right? I think it wasn't going to all be realistic. So I think we're okay. But yeah, I think this is a perfect fit. It makes total sense. Dinosaur was good when I wrote it last summer, but not great. And it was an okay attraction, but this will blow the socks off of that, I'm sure. But honestly, George, what are your thoughts on this? I mean,
yeah, I was I was kind of skeptic at first, because when they said Indiana Jones was going to come to Walt Disney World, I initially thought it would go better in Hollywood Studios, maybe attach it to the Indiana Jones stunt show, or maybe replace it. I never really understood the concept of why Indiana Jones would fit in Animal Kingdom, but the more that I saw, like with the concept and everything, and when you brought to my attention, when you said, well, when you kind of look at Expedition Everest, majority of the ride really isn't based off of an animal. You know, you see the
No.
Yeti for like a few seconds, but when you're in the queue and everything, it's all about the culture of Nepal, you know,
Right.
in Asia and everything. And I thought, okay,
This
well, that
park,
makes sense.
yeah, this park isn't just animals. I know it's in the name, and I get it. I understand why people kind of assume only animals, but it's animals and the cultures where these animals reside in.
Right.
So it's not just Africa; it's also the people, the culture, you know, and that's what it's not just Asia; it's the people, the culture, the food, the animal, it's everything. So, and that's why I love Animal Kingdom. That's why I think it's the best park at Walt Disney World because it does all that, you know.
And another concern of mine was, okay, well, are they going to basically give us the West Coast Indiana Jones adventure over in Animal Kingdom? And everyone knows how I feel about, you know, mirroring, not so much from the international parks, but with the
Hold on,
domestic.
George. Hold on, hold on.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so y'all ain't gonna let nobody disrespect the West Coast, huh?
I'm just playing with you. Go ahead.
but
Excuse.
and it's like with the Indiana Jones adventure, I look forward to going out to Disneyland for that. And I thought that's the one place where I can go where I could say, okay, this is where I'm going to experience Indiana Jones. It's like, do I really want to have the same thing coming from Walt Disney World? But when they announced it was going to be based off of the Mayan culture, Indiana Jones going into a Mayan temple, you know, looking for this, you know, rare kind of creature and what have you. And I thought, okay, it's a completely different storyline. We don't know what kind of misadventures we're going to get into with all the special effects and everything. So I thought, okay, this is exciting. Now I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And this is a picture of what the temple is going to look like. Very different than what we have in Anaheim. A lot more color. And I'm assuming, and I'm honestly not super versed in Mayan culture, so bear with me, pardon my ignorance, but I'm assuming that the color schemes and the paint schemes on the temple is very indicative of what you would see in Mayan culture, which is awesome. But this brings something totally different to Orlando. This is not the same thing that we have. It has a lot of color to it, and I absolutely love it. Do you like the aesthetics overall from what you see?
I do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I think honestly, it builds up the anticipation of the colors draw to you to say, okay, well, what is that? And as you get closer, you're like, oh, it's a temple. Well, what kind of temple? It's a Mayan temple, and it's like that's the one thing that I do love that the Imagineers definitely got right with the storyline, incorporating a storyline of Indiana Jones into the parks is the aesthetics of the queue and basically like the outward overall look moving into the ride itself. And I think this is going to definitely be a very popular attraction at Animal Kingdom.
100%.
I would actually say that this ride will give Flight of Passage a run for its money.
Bold assessment, George. Very bold. I love Flight of Passage, though. Not to say that you might not. You're probably not going to be wrong. I mean, this is a very practical experience, Indy, compared to Flight of Passage, which is a screen. But the thing I love, not to like go off topic too much, but the thing I love about Flight of Passage is, and I'm not trying to be morbid here. It just kind of like it's almost like this beautiful afterlife experience. Like it's almost like, you know, those stories here when people like pass away.
Yeah.
And they go on these crazy odysseys after they pass away, right? There's near death experiences where like everything is more real than real and the colors are so vibrant more than they are here on Earth. It kind of reminds me of those near death experience kind of like stories people tell.
Either that or if you grew up in the 70s.
Yeah, either one, exactly. Near death experience, or just grew up in you're a young person in the 70s. But that's what I love about that ride. It's so serene. There isn't really there's no conflict in it. It's just a beautiful ride through Pandora, and that's what I love about it. You know,
And I will say that Indiana Jones will probably help Flight of Passage because a lot of times when you have an overly popular ride, Disney has a very hard time of giving it downtime, you know, for refurbishments or for like fixer uppers, you know, to add some things to it. Because if it's a very highly popular ride, you know, you don't have anything to offset,
right?
You know, the guest flow in that ride. So I think Indiana Jones will take some of that pressure off of Flight of Passage.
Yeah, I think on that note, I think Radiator Springs Racers needs a cervical MRI because they've been carrying that whole park on its back for years. Thank goodness we're getting Avatar and stuff like that, because that park just has one e-ticket. And I'm sorry, Incredicoaster is not an e-ticket. It's a great coaster, but it's not an e-ticket. But that's not it. We're getting Encanto as well. If you're a fan of drawers, floors, and doors, oh, I like that. Well done, Wandering in Disney. Very creative. If you're a fan of drawers, floors, and doors, let's go. The first ever Encanto themed ride through attraction is coming to DAC, featuring the beloved Madrigal family from Walt Disney Animation Studios film. Inside the casita, Antonio has just received his special gift, the ability to communicate with animals. Now, this is great. This is a direct connection to animals. Now, there's the culture element, which is also important in Animal Kingdom, but this one's leaning a little harder into the animal element. And you have a character like Antonio, so it makes sense. And his room is transformed into a rainforest. I'm very curious how that is when you ride through this house, how that whole thing is going to kind of transpire, where you go through into Antonio's room and it turns into that rainforest. That's going to be pretty spectacular. I think that's going to be something that they kind of explore, like new technology and what have you. I think that's going to be a really special part of the attraction. Just my speculation. It's time to go explore alongside him, and you never know what member of the family you might bump into. So there's a little bit of concept art. We have, capybaras, here. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Capybara. I can never sing the song, whatever. But these ride vehicles, what do you think? I mean, some people are saying boat ride. I don't think so. They look like individual little cars.
Well, at first, when I saw the concept at D23, initially I did think boat ride, but then when you think of going into the house, you think, okay, well, how is that going to make sense that you're in a house riding in a boat on water? But then you also brought to my attention by the not just the look, but the position of how the guests are from the first car to the last car.
Yeah, they seem to be pointing in different directions. It's not one boat, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think it's going to be ride vehicles. I think it's going to be, honestly, probably Mystic Manor or some sort of trackless sort of experience. But I would like to see a little bit of in the Pooh ride at Disneyland when it's a blustery, rainy day, and the vehicles kind of do this a little bit with the water. Yeah. I would like to see some effects like that. Like maybe when you get into like Antonio's room and it turns into a rainforest and the rain's coming down, I would like to see the vehicles kind of move like you're floating or something. I think that'd be kind of a cool little effect,
That would be cool. Now, do you feel like this is going to be heavy screen based? Do you feel like that there's going to be some audio animatronics, some practical effects? Do you think it's a little mixture of both?
I think a mixture of both. Yeah, I think we'll see a mixture of both. I don't think it'll just be all screens, no, but I think we're going to get some animatronics. I think you're going to get screens in a ride. This whole franchise is based on magic. They're going to transform his room into a rainforest. There's no way they're doing that in practical. Yeah. But there's going to be animatronics. There's going to be physical sets as well. I think it'll be a mix. Like you kind of like Mystic Manor. I think Mystic Manor kind of has both, doesn't it? It has one room, the monkey room, where he's doing this, and the whole room is like getting like there's like a cyclone or like a wind thing going on, like a window. Like that's mostly screens. But then you go into other rooms, it's mostly physical. I think it'll be like that. In my opinion. Well, is that kind of where your head is at?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. That like they would utilize the screens as part of the effect where it looks that it interacts with the actual practical scenes.
Yeah.
So it kind of like where it kind of intermix, sort of like even how Tokyo did with Peter Pan, where you can't really decipher like what looks screen based and what is actual practical effects. And then where you have like the characters, like they're pulling on something, but it activates an actual practical piece.
Right. I can see that. And that's actually very similar to what they do at Universal Studios Hollywood with the Kung Fu Panda Theater. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of that where like when you're waiting for the show to start in that room, there's like physical props that move and interact with some of the projections and things. By the way, that's a great show.
I was just going to say, I've seen it when I was out there, and you would think that it'd be like, okay, it's a cute kid show and everything. I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. I actually really enjoyed the Kung Fu Panda like interactive show experience.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very well done. That theater is absolutely stunning. The show is beautiful. It's a really cool experience. If you have kids, you should definitely check it out. And the adults will get something out of it too. I mean, I'm not a kid, and I loved it. So I thought it was great. I think it's one of the better 3D movie experiences I've ever seen, if not the best. I think it's up there for sure. So I don't know. Yeah. But Animal Kingdom, great park. They're getting some big stuff here. No word on the Yeti yet, but we'll see.
I think in time, I think this is a good start where once they start expanding more out of Animal Kingdom, where they have more than just 6 rides, I think they'll be able to, as I had mentioned before, give Flight of Passage a little R&R. They may be able to work on Everest to get the Yeti. I don't want to say fixed, because technically the Yeti really isn't broken. It's the platform that he's standing on. It when you turn him on, it begins to crack the foundation. So that's more of the concern. So they keep him in B mode. Now, we also have to think too, the Yeti's been stagnant for over a decade, so probably he would need some internal adjustments too, from being, no one likes a stiff,
Yeah. They might have to do the in-house Yeti chiropractor to kind of, unkink that neck a little bit, Yeah, we'll see. There's got to be a solution to it. There's got to be some solution to it that can be reasonably affordable without ripping out the whole thing. And, come on. We can put a man on the moon, but we can't fix a Yeti. Come on, Disney. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. But the Italiano, it was awesome having you on the show again. Did you shave, by the way?
I did.
Nice. I was like, wait a minute. Something different. George shaved. And I didn't. Wow, we're swapping.
Yeah.
It's Freaky Friday today on the OG55 channel. But George, if you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Sticky. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. Comment down below with all your thoughts on the Tropical Americas, Encanto, the carousel, the animal carousel, Indiana Jones Adventure finally coming to Florida, just the overall land, the aesthetics, the Kung Fu Panda show in Hollywood and Universal. Anything you want to talk about?
I will say really quick, though, out of everything that Disney announced, this is the one announcement fans are like not pushing back on. Like, they're letting Disney cook with this one.
Yeah, they're letting them cook, and they should. I'm telling you, fans had a problem with this. Something seriously wrong. This is how do you not like this? I don't know. Yeah. But so thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55, and until the next time, Youngjin, take it away.